one of the great things about the New York Comic Con is the fact that you're going to get introduced to a large variety of new books, which in turn means new writers and new artists. Every year, though, one book always stands out above the rest. It's sort of like a hidden treasure that I just found. I was walking down the convention floor when a representative from T Publications saw my press pass and asked if I would like some free books. And he handed me Twisted Dark, Volume 1 and 2, and Issue 1 of their new book, Tortured Life. And I was very glad to have the books, and that night at the hotel, I decided to give them a read. Didn't really expect anything, didn't think anything of it. Well, needless to say, I was halfway through the graphic novel before I knew it, and I decided to rip into Tortured Life, and that was even more enjoyable. So I couldn't wait to get to NYcon the very next day so I could sit down with the writer of both pieces, Neil Gibbson. I have to say, if you haven't picked up this book yet, this is a great find. And remember that name, Neil Gibbson, because I think we're going to see a lot of incredible things from him. So this is Neil Gibbson at the New York Comic Con.
So I'm here with Neil Gibbson of Twisted Dark Volume 1 and 2 and the new book Tortured Life. Let's start with Tortured Life because Twisted Dark is I think a bigger spectrum there. For the readers who haven't read it yet, what is Tortured Life about?
Tortured Life is, if I describe it, it'd be heroes meets lost. The idea is that every single issue you read will throw up a lot of questions for you, but it also gives you answers because there's a defined time period and a definite ending, unlike Heroes and Lost.
Yeah. Now, is it going to be a continuous story with the same character? Are we going to be following along with him?
Absolutely. It's, let me show you right here. It's the characters. Tortured Life is very character-driven. So I spent a lot of time developing all the characters, what their relationships are with each other, their formative years, what their journey is, what they actually want most from life, and then what's in the way of them getting what they want, and how they'll interact with each other. And again, every chapter is going to give you a lot of questions and show up some surprises, and I hope you enjoy it.
Now, where'd you come up with the idea of, like, most people don't think of having the superpower to tell when other people are going to die necessarily a good thing. Where did that idea come from?
I stole it from a better writer.
Oh, well, that's always a story in writing, apparently. Everything came from something else, and everything came from Shakespeare, so it all boils down.
No, seriously, I don't actually know where it came from. All my ideas, I have no idea where it comes from. I just think what's interesting, and I try and extrapolate from there.
Now, you seem to have a very interesting talent for creating the twist in the story. Have you always been a fan of that type of fiction where right when you think something is one thing, it becomes something else?
I am a fan of that as long as I don't guess it's coming. If I guess it's coming, it ruins it for me. So especially if I know there are twists coming, a certain writer has a history of doing twists, I try and figure it out. And I figure it out, I'm disappointed. But if I try and figure it out and I can't, then I love it. But the reason I do it a lot is because it's basically paranoia. Because I've been writing, I only started writing a year ago. It's not my career, I'm a scientist by background. And when I first started writing stories, I was petrified people would find them boring. So that's why I wanted to write something that's dark and mysterious and has twists.
What type of scientist were you?
Okay, that's my background. I'm a mechanical engineer. I've got 2 masters and I work as a management consultant. But this is what I want to do. I actually want to change and do comics full time.
How do you go from being a mechanical engineer to like doing comics? I'm guessing that, is this the full-time job, or have you had to like keep a little bit of a foot in that area, or?
What happened was I was posted to a project in the Middle East in Qatar, and I didn't know many people there, and I thought, well, in my free time, my wife's not here with me, well, my girlfriend then, what do I do in my free time? So I thought I'd try writing comics, because I love comics, and that was a year ago, and I'm still working as a management consultant, but I've got 3 books out now, and I'm trying to break into the industry.
Oh, I think you have a lot of really good material to break in with.
You're a man of great taste.
Oh, thank you. That's what my wife says. Now, moving on to Twisted Dark. How much research do you do culturally? Because every chapter, even down to like the characters' names, there seems to be a lot of, investigation in the sense of like, even though it is fiction, there is very a solid base in like reality, what's going on in the world right now, and how much research do you to like get that cultural aspect of the story?
I'm lucky enough that I've been to I think 55 countries, so I can base my experience on what happened in those places. but also I try and use artists who are in those countries. So I use the internet now and find artists. I haven't met some of the artists I've used, but I try and, so if it's about set in Indonesia and Islam, I find a Muslim artist in Indonesia to help draw it. I try and just write stuff that's unusual. So if I read a news article about something happening in the world, I thought, oh, that's interesting. What's the interesting situation? How could that go further? And I just develop a story from there.
Now, I don't know if you do it on purpose, but you seem to kind of make the reader kind of fall in love a little bit with the character, and then we find out something very dark about that. Perfect example, Rodrigo and the window pane company. Like, at first, I felt for him like, oh, these media people won't leave him alone. He just wants to be, and then we get to the end where you get that dark moment. Is that something you do on purpose? Do you want us to like really like the characters to create more of an impact later on when it turns, or is it just they're just naturally likable people because we find ourselves in them?
I'm just a very sick-minded person, that's all. I'm still learning the craft of writing in my head. People have given me great reviews, but I think people relate to people they're similar with, and you have to have similar situations. So, for example, the boy struggled with his father in the relationship. They always go through a period of a bit of hero worship at one point and resentment. Everyone can relate to that as a man. So I try and make characters that you can identify with them, and you get to like them a little bit. But then everyone has dark sides to them, and I try and show that as well.
That first story with the boy and his father you referred to, I remember reading it, and then I got to the point where I was starting to feel scared with the father. Then you get to that end, and you really did take the reader to a dark place, but it's a really enjoyable place. I was telling my wife this morning, it's like an M. Night Shyamalan movie, but better. It's like there's an actual good twist. You didn't see it. It's just not a twist for the sake of there being a twist. It makes sense. It's not like the twist happens and you're left thinking, what the hell just happened? Who are some of the influences? You said you're a big comic book fan. Who are some of the influences that you read, or some of the artists and writers that you enjoy?
I loved Alan Moore's early stuff, Neil Gaiman. Fables I loved, I think it's fantastic. Right now I'm reading Lock and Key by Joe Hill, I think it's excellent. I'm trying to think of other ones. I have a huge collection at home. Unfortunately a lot of the stuff is rubbish, but most things by Vertigo I love.
Now here's the big question for the convention this year. What do you think of the new 52?
I'm not much of a superhero reader. I thought of writers. So I tried reading a few of the 52. I'm sorry, I'm trying to break into publishing industry so I should watch what I'm saying. But I'm not a big fan of some of it. I think Jeff Johns is excellent though. I really like his stuff.
Well, I would have to agree with that. He's a home run every time. Even when the stories are kind of like a lull, it's still a very enjoyable book.
I'm new to reading him actually, so it's just the Justice League's the first thing I read. But you can tell within 3 pages that this is a good writer. This is good.
So what's coming up next?
Well, I've mapped out in my head all the stories for Twisted Dark up to Volume 5. All the stories. I don't know if you realise they all connect with each other.
No, I haven't realized that. How? In what way? Or is that something that's going to come up later on in the stories?
Well, for example, okay, Munchausen's Little Proxy. Have you read the whole book yet?
I've gotten to Window Pane. Rodrigo's the
okay,
last story.
so Window Pane is actually a sequel to another story that you read in the same volume. And all the stories do connect. Some are quite obvious, some are quite subtle. And you have to read Volume 3 to see a prequel to one of the stories in Volume 1. But they all connect to each other.
It must be crazy inside your mind. It must be loud in there.
I cheat. I've got a spider diagram how everything connects together.
And what's next for Tortured Life?
Tortured Life, I have mapped out the first 10 issues. The potential to go further, but if it doesn't sell well, it's going to wrap up with a very nice ending at issue 10. But it's quite a powerful ending. It's the very first thing I wrote, is the ending.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Where can people find your books?
NeilGibsonComics.com. That's not MelGibsonComics.com. There's a difference between Neil Gibson and Mel Gibson.
I would have to say so. You seem like a much friendly person. So we're here with Neil Gibbson, author of Twisted Dark Volume 1 and 2, soon to 3 coming out, and Tortured Life, and that definitely has my strongest recommendation. So will we see you next year?
Absolutely. I love New York. It's amazing.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. You have excellent taste.
And that was Neil Gibbson at the NYcon1. Remember, you can get Twisted Dark Volume 1 and 2 and Tortured Life Issue 1 through T Publications, or you can also check him out at www.neogibson.com, without a doubt. Thank you very much.